Hello, welcome to the Sacred Priestess podcast, where I help beautiful awakening women step into their divine feminine power so that they can find clarity, connection, and confidence in their spiritual healing journey. I'm Hayley. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me today, where we are talking about the 3 things that your awakening is calling you to do. If you are here with me, I'm sure you have been on your awakening journey for a little while. Some of you may have only just started, and we're all moving through this amazing time of healing and growth and expansion on the planet. But it comes with its icky parts that can get a little bit much, that can get a little bit chaotic, that can get a little bit draining and get us down. And I think today I just wanted to sort of remind you, because some of you, may already be aware of what awakening is calling you to do, of what is happening on this planet. But I think that sometimes we just need that reassurance, that validation, that reminder that everything's going to be okay, that we're going to make it through today, that we'll make it through tomorrow. That we have what it takes to move forward in this space. So as we continue on our awakening journey, as we continue through healing and reflection and the changes in our beliefs, that chaos is inevitable. I've been in my awakening for a while, and with the work that I've done on myself, with the tools that I have, with the work that I do with the goddesses in the mystery school, I can move with clarity and connection and confidence through my journey. But it doesn't mean that there aren't days that are really, really hard. I've literally just been through this a couple of days ago, where I had stuff coming up that needed to be, let go of and removed, as we really do move into this new cycle now of this year. So it's still going to be there. There are still going to things come up as we expand and as we grow. Like I said, it's inevitable. But this is how we raise our vibration. It's how we reach a point where we are living from higher states of consciousness, with more wisdom, with deeper insight, in more expansion, so that we can harness in that highest timeline, live in joy, live in abundance, and all of those things that we are here to bring to the world in order to heal it. So today I just wanted to talk about these 3 things that awakening is calling for you to do, especially as women. Because we are here to bring that divine feminine balance back onto the planet. That is something that is really being called forward at this time. As you look out on the world stage, women are being called to use their voices to say, you know what, no, enough is enough. We're coming back into that power so that this divine feminine energy can be brought back into the energy of the planet and into the energy of human consciousness. And we're not talking about matriarchy taking over and patriarchy, being shunned out of the way. We've been there, we've done that. This is a time on the planet where we are harnessing in the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. We are at a point where we are healing our divine masculine and our divine feminine. So, that is why we are being called into this, to bring this energy into the planet, to anchor it, to bring that divine feminine power back into balance within us. So, like I said, today we're talking about those 3 things and what we can start doing to really step into these energies and these new ways of being, so that you can really step into who you came here to be. You can take up your space in the world. You can be the leader, you can be the mother, you can be the human that you really came here to be, that you set out when before you incarnated here, before the distortion, before all of the things that happened. So let's get started. So number 1, the awakening is calling you to reclaim your power. We have been taught to give so much of our power away in so many different places, to so many different people, so many different situations. And, we have this power that is even being given away in this energetic connection to past lives, as well as obviously everything that's gone on in this life. And so what happens is, instead of making decisions from a point of personal sovereignty, even like with me in the last couple of days, making decisions from the person you are right now, today, in this moment, you allow decisions to be made from the past, from these people, from these situations, from these energetic ties. My inner teen has been loving life for the last couple of days, and trying to bring myself back to 47-year-old Hayley rather than making decisions and acting out as 14, 15-year-old Hayley has been really tricky, and we want to be able to stand in that personal sovereignty and go, no, hang on a minute, this is what's going on. And as me right now in this moment, what do I need to do instead of giving that power away to our inner teen, to our inner child, whatever's happened, in our childhood or in our 20s or in this relationship or in this past life. So what we want to be doing is when we heal all of these things and we call our power back, we are rebuilding our own energy. So we are making our choices, like I said, from a point of self-worth and integrity and from this moment in time. So if you imagine it like, your energetic bubble, whether you want to call it your aura, there's all different matrices, there's all sorts of things going on within there. But if you, for now, imagine just like a solid gold egg around you, when you give your power away and all the times that you've given your power away through this life and others, it's like little cracks, there are holes all over it. And so what we want to do is we want to heal those things, bring that energy back into alignment and into this space so that all of those cracks get healed. So every cord, that's there to just bring all of that back to make it nice and solid again so that, we can move with choices that align with our highest good. And so that we can stand in that with confidence, right? So that when we make a choice, when we make a decision, we know that we're right. We have the self-worth and the confidence to go, no, this is my choice. This is what I'm doing. Either come with me or move out of my way kind of thing. And not in a horrible, rude way, but just from that standpoint of I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I'm capable of. I know what is available to me. And this is aligned with me. It's aligned with my highest good. And so this is what I'm going to do. So how do we know where we've given our power away? And this first one's a bit of a stingy one. You know where you've given your power away to because of who you're blaming. If you're blaming somebody for something that's happening to you, that you've gone through, you're giving your power away to that. So anywhere you are blaming the government or blaming your parents or blaming your ex or I don't know, blaming, oh, well, this happened in a past life, so it's that problem and it's the fault of that. Anywhere you are doing that, that's where you're giving your power away and you need to bring sovereignty back over that. Where are you pointing fingers at everybody, even your children, or I can't do that because of my kids. You're giving your power away to that rather than going, well, right, this is something that I want to do. So how are we going to work this situation out? Who can I help? Who can I get to help me with my kids, or how can I rearrange whatever it is in a different way, right? So that's a really good way to notice. And we do that with spirit too, right? We blame God. We blame the universe for what's going on with us, for the lessons that we're getting, rather than actually standing in our power and going, well, what choices am I making in order to keep bringing these same lessons around? What energy am I still vibrating on to keep bringing these same lessons around, right? So the other thing is to notice that voice in your head. What are those negative thoughts, negative words? People won't like me. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. I can't do that. Where are those limiting beliefs that are stopping you from really standing in what feels true? Those fears, right? And this is where feel the fear and do it anyway comes. There are so many times when we know what the right decision is, but we allow those fears, those judgments from other people, those feelings of inadequacy to stop us from actually standing up and moving forward. So these are a couple of places that you can look at to start really reclaiming your power, bringing that power back. You can also obviously look into past life work. You can look into inner child. But I think we need to be a little bit careful with inner child and inner teen. I think we give them too much power all the time in just even the way that we go, oh, well, we better coddle them and we better, or give them a cuddle. And that's great. Like, over the last couple of days with my inner teen, I've acknowledged her. I've let her have her seat at the table. But at the end of the day, I'm here right now in this moment and it's my choice. And she needs to put her little tantrum aside so that we can get on with business. And I think sometimes we still give in to our inner child and inner teen a little bit too much, rather than just saying, look, love, it's my turn, right? So there's a couple of things that we can think about. The other thing that we can do, just sit in meditation, imagine that bubble and just call all of you back to you. Just say, I call all of my power back. I call all of my energy back across all dimensions, time and space, and just see, those bits of energy flying back to you, sticking to you like a magnet and creating a whole energy again. So that's number one, reclaim your power. The second thing that our awakening is calling you to is to reclaim your voice. And we can talk all day on the suppression of women's voices over the last God knows how many thousands of years. We all understand that there are so many stories that have been changed and manipulated around goddesses, around women in history, all of those kind of things, right? So around us not having a seat at the table, and things are getting better. We can't sit here complaining that, things aren't changing and things aren't moving, because they are in certain ways. But I think sometimes just because something's happening on the surface doesn't mean all the things are changing underneath. And like I said earlier, that's a lot of the reasons why there's so much stuff around women going on out in the world right now, on the world stage, so that we can start speaking and reclaiming that voice, rather than just having sort of like token things that we've been given, and having a real seat at the table and really being acknowledged and really being noticed. So, we have been taught to, like I said, suppress that voice, not being allowed to have opinions, not being able in some points of history to even talk about certain topics. And even now, even though we're in 2026, and even though my generation, the generations coming after me, and even probably a little bit of the generations in front of me, we do know more about money now. We do know more about politics now. We're finding our feet on all of that. But there are still women still alive today who have never looked at their finances, or have nothing to do with the finances, because they're still in that belief of, well, that's what the man does, and I don't want anything to do with that, which is fine if you really don't care and you really don't want to do it. But, part of personal power and part of sovereignty is knowing how that works. There's so many women out there that have that attitude because that's what they've been brought up in. But then when something happens to their husband, they're completely lost on what to do. And I think, that kind of thing still is around, because it wasn't that long ago that we couldn't have bank accounts. I mean, it was only the 70s, right, that we were able to finally get a loan or a bank account opened without our husband. So it actually is still, a lot of this is still quite new. It's, we're still having trouble with, women's health and things like that aren't taken seriously enough. And I was listening to a podcast the other day where this woman, she is a doctor and she works in women's health now. And when she was in residence, when she first started, she was all, second day in, and she's doing her thing and she was so excited. And there was this woman who had come to her sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but there was this woman who came to her, and, she was complaining of dizziness. She was complaining of hot flushes. She was complaining of just being really moody and aggravated, and just something was off. And she went to the doctor, and I'm sorry, I'm going to bodge this because I can't remember the exact acronym that he used, but he said this certain acronym. And she was like, a what? And he goes, oh, she's just a whatever it was. And she's like, well, what does that mean? And basically what he was saying, it was a whiny, whingy woman. Just a woman who comes in and just finds something to whinge about. There's nothing wrong with her. And she was like, what? And it, obviously it turns out it was, menopausal symptoms, things that were going on in her hormones. And this was in the 80s, you guys, right? She was in residence in the 80s, in the late 80s. So there's so much stuff that we're still walking through and lending our voices on, which is why at this time reclaiming our voice is so important. We also get told growing up, even still now, to not be so loud, not to talk back, don't make people upset, don't raise your voice, don't yell at people. It's not very ladylike. And then, of course, in as well as that, we've got all of our past life stuff again, and our ancestral patterning and all of that stuff as well. So we're still really getting used to expressing our truth, our true opinions, our emotions, letting those out. there was a time not too long ago that if we were hysterical and allowing our emotions to show, that our husband would be able to put us into an institution because we were being erratic and crazy because, we'd found out he had a mistress, and so we went off at him, and then that made us hysterical. And so we got put away. So all of these things are now being healed within us, not only on a personal level, but on a collective level as well. And like I said, that's what the world stage is echoing, right? People look on the outside and go, oh my God, all this stuff on the outside. But that outside world is echoing the things that are needing to be healed within, and vice versa. It's all a mirror of each other. So the more that we allow ourselves to start reclaiming our power, start reclaiming our voice, that is going to start changing on the outside too, with what we're seeing in terms of the awakening on a larger scale. So how do we start doing this? How do we start, what are the things that we can do to start reclaiming our voice? And I think really, honestly, the first thing is going inwards and starting with personal radical honesty, just within yourself. Nothing that you need to say to anyone else, talk to anyone else about, but really sit with your emotions and be radically honest about how you're feeling with your life, with your relationships, with your work, with what is going on in the world right now, how you're feeling about your healing and your awakening and how you've been moving through that. Are you really meeting yourself with love and compassion? So I think being really radically honest with yourself about how you're feeling, radically honest about what it is that you want from your life and for yourself and your family, and what it is that you want to be doing in the world, presenting in the world. Really get honest with that, because the more you can really start to be honest with yourself and where you're at, the easier it is going to be for you to stand in your power, reclaim that power, and then speak your truth and reclaim your voice. So radical honesty with yourself is really important. Like I said, you don't have to say it to anyone else. You can sit and go, oh my God, I'm so depressed today. Like, I'm just hating this particular thing in my life right now. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not spiritual because you're not happy with something. And we can hold gratitude for what we have in our lives and be annoyed at it at the same time. That is possible. I can sit here and be so, so grateful for the healing that I've had this week, but also exhausted because it was a big one. and it was tiring and it sucked. And that's okay. But I'm super grateful for it at the same time. We can always hold polarity in emotion. This is the thing that people can get tripped up in with spirituality, that you just have to be all love and light and happy and grateful about everything all the time. True spirituality comes from honesty. It comes from meeting yourself where you're at, being honest about where you're at, and knowing and having the tools so that you can move through that and come out of the other side. Anywho, another little tangent. Sorry about that. So the other thing that we want to do is work on safety, because so many of us have been taught that it is not safe to have a voice. It is not safe to express your emotions. It is not safe to speak up. It is not safe to, have an opinion on something. And so working on safety is really, really important. And we can do that through the root chakra. We can do that through working with higher self. We can do that by looking back into our childhood and, was I safe to express? What happened when I expressed my emotions? What happened when I actually turned around and had an opinion? How was I treated? How was I looked at? And so going back and starting to have a look at that as well. So that is reclaiming your voice. And the last thing we're going to talk about today, number 3, is your awakening is calling you to reclaim soul sovereignty. And this is a really big one, you guys. And again, this is something that I think sort of gets a little bit skewed in the spiritual community and can do. So the divine source, God, goddess, whoever it is that you identify this consciousness as, is not separate from you. And when you tap into your soul, when you are working with soul, you are tapping into the divine, right? We are all that is. We are all part of that consciousness. And You know, when we're feeling lost, when we're feeling a little bit disconnected, it is not because of anything to do with God or source. It starts with the disconnection from self. And the sooner that you can get back to your own soul, back to connection with yourself, the sooner you are going to get back into connection with the divine, with your guides, with your angels, with whoever it is that you want to connect to. It all starts from you. Everything starts from you. Every lesson, every connection, everything that you want to do, everything to do with spirituality starts with you coming to you first. Your emotions, how you're feeling, what you want from your life, how you're connected into your own energy. That is what starts. It starts from here. And this is, you know, to do with personal power too, because we've been taught that everything is outside of self. But if you really, like I said, if you're feeling that lost and disconnected, we're taught to reach outside of self. We're taught to go out to God, out to Goddess, out to guide, out to angels. And really we need to start by tapping into our own heart, our own energy body. Your heart is the direct link to your soul, to higher self. When you are living heart-led, when you are tapping into that space, it is a direct and exact, you know, line of communication to your higher self, to soul. So tapping into your heart and getting that divine link is really, really important. Sitting with that every day, being in touch with your heart's desires brings you in touch with your blueprint, brings you in touch of why you're here, your purpose, you know, your dharma, whatever it is that you're doing in life comes back to that. So we are a part of that, all that is. And we deserve to be happy. We deserve to be living the lives that we really did come here to live, just because, you know, we are here. And I, like, one of my biggest sayings that I do, and I sit and I connect into my soul and I connect into Goddess, and I connect into all of the things, you know, into nature, into the earth, and understanding that I am part of all of it, that I am part of all of that. And I say, I deserve because I am. That's it. And that, I mean, even now it gives me goosebumps to sit in that, to being connected into the earth, connected into the stars, connected into all of that. I deserve because I am. I exist. And because of that, I am deserving of my highest blueprint. I am deserving of soul connection. I am deserving of all, you know, the good and happiness and expansion that is available to me. And you are too. And making that saying and making that a part of your practice is a beautiful thing. And I encourage you to do that. So it's also a link with manifestation. You know, when we get into soul sovereignty, when we're tapping into our heart, when we're aligning with that higher self, that is how we manifest the things that we want. You know, people think that manifestation is about sticking up a vision board and crossing your fingers. But if you are constantly living from your soul, you are constantly going to manifest all of the things that you want. You know, if you are moving on that, if you are moving with that, you are going to get all of those things coming to you. And as we do that, and as we step onto that path, don't get me wrong, there are going to need to be things that come up from that. There is going to be healing. There are going to be limiting beliefs. There are going to be things that need to crumble in front of that. So you will have healing to do as you move and become more soul-led and more heart-led, and bringing those manifestations, because that's just part of the journey. It's part of that gnosis. It's part of getting to know thyself and self-knowledge and wisdom and all that you have within you, the wisdom and insight that you have through your third eye, the wisdom and insight that you have with the connection to the cosmos, the wisdom and insight that you have in connection to your sacred womb. All of this stuff lives within your soul and comes up within your soul. And it really is about getting to know thyself. And as you know thyself, you know yourself more. You are, like I said, you're more connected to yourself. You are more connected to the divine. And so this is what soul sovereignty comes down to. Soul sovereignty is about tapping into the heart, aligning with soul, aligning with your higher self, and moving from that. Not moving because, oh, what are my guides saying about it? Or what, you know, God's got to tell me what to do. You will hear them through your heart. You will hear their messages, their guidance. You know, this is the other thing. They do not know more than you. They are a perspective. They bring in perspective. And it's the reason we feel we need our guides and angels more is because we have lost connection to self. And the more you have connection to yourself, the less you find you need answers from your guides. They're just there because you love having them around, and it's good to chat to them, and it's good to get perspective, but you don't need them to fix everything for you, because you understand that you're really the only person that can do that. Okay. And the more that you step in, like I said, the more that you become connected to your heart and connected to your soul, the less you feel that desperation to have them around and have to know where they are and have to be able to talk to them. You start looking at them as friends who are there to lend an ear. When you've got something going on in your life and you go to a group of girlfriends and there's something going on that you can't quite figure, they give you perspective. It's the same thing, right? So when we're talking about reclaiming soul sovereignty, the one thing that I suggest to do is just to start sitting with your heart, sit in solitude, sit in quietude, put some nice music on, hand on your heart, and just breathe into that space. Allow the walls to come down. Allow yourself to really tap into your own emotions, what it is that you want, what it is that you're feeling. And just really start sitting with your heart. If you've got something going on in your life, rather than going, what do my guides say? I need a guide. I need this. I need that. Sit with your heart. What do I need to do in this situation? Sit with your heart. What feels right? Because part of soul sovereignty is personal power, and part of soul sovereignty is reclaiming your voice. All of these things move together, and they're symbiotic in their relationships, and they all work together in harmony to allow you to step into the life that you came here to live, to give you that clarity, to give you that connection, to give you that confidence in your awakening journey, in your life, to do the things that it is that you want to do. So as we continue on our awakening and healing, and we're learning more about who we actually are, and we're activating the divine feminine connection, and we step into our power, we speak our truth and live from our heart. And the more that we can do that, like I said, the more we do find that clarity, confidence, and connection in our spiritual journey. It's all about capability. The more capable you feel, the more you're going to be able to just do anything. You're going to be unstoppable when you allow these three things to come to the surface. So if you are ready to dive deeper and you want to start activating these energies, please come and join my world. You can go to hayleyhughes.com.au and check that out. You can join me in my private Facebook group, and on Instagram, I will pop those links below. Please keep an ear out. I do free circles with some of the goddesses every month. We've just finished one with Mary Magdalene, which was amazing. Next month, I do believe it's going to be on the 5th of March. So that the registration for that will be coming out very soon. We'll be doing circle with Goddess Isis. Goddess Isis will be helping us to heal things in the way of and activate our psychic abilities. So do keep an ear out for that. Like I said, if you get onto hayleyhughes.com.au, you can sign up and you'll be sent a notification of when that registration's open, or you'll also find it if you're in the Facebook group on Instagram. So come and join me. Thanks so much for being here today. Please remember to leave a comment if this has resonated with you, or even if you have any questions, pop them down there. Don't forget to follow for more beautiful divine feminine activation as we walk this beautiful journey together. And share with your friends, your like-minded friends who are stepping into their divine feminine power too. And I will see you all again next week. Bye.